But you do get to authoritarianism with both sides. In fact, you get to authoritarianism with any government that has ever increasing or no restrictions on its power. Every single kingdom in the past, whenever groups of tribes got together and elected a big chief and they elected a king, authoritarian followed. Every single time government gets big, it becomes authoritarian, simply because of the fallibility of our nature as humans to always want what we want and put our own desires first without conscious effort to put others first. And so people will then start using government to climb the power ladder, because that's how you could take care of your own needs much more. If I'm the king, you remember History of the World Part 1, Mel Brooks? Did you
I
ever see
didn't
that
see
movie?
that.
Oh, dude, you got to watch
Okay.
Mel
I
Brooks.
love Mel Brooks.
He rubs he goes to give him good motorboat. He's like, it's good to be the king. When he's playing the French king, it's like, when you're the king, you get anything you want because you're the king. And if you don't like somebody, hell, look at Henry VIII. I don't like the fact that the Pope's not letting me divorce my third wife. So guess what? I'm going to start my own religion and have her killed anyway. Only a king can get away with that kind of a thing, right? And then he forced the entire country. He's like, oh, and by the way, if you don't join my new religion I just established today, I'll kill you all. Only a king can get away with that. So authoritarianism is a natural draw for human nature, because we're all fallen and sinful people, and so you're going to find authoritarianism wherever government consolidates its power. In my belief that strong government is much more aligned with a leftist viewpoint, more importantly a socialist and communist viewpoint, where it's less about the individual and it's more about the group. For instance, I've said this many times, and I've had a lot of people, including like Greta Sheafleet on X. She actually came over from China back 25 years ago, and was raised under communism. My wife, I met her when I was in Shanghai, and her whole family grew up through that. And I spent time with her grandmother before she passed away, who was in China, before she was under Mao, but also during World War II and the rape in Nanking and that whole thing. It's just, she saw the whole thing happen. They have this interesting thing of, under socialism or communism, the people are all that matters. A person has no value. So it's all about, we have to take care of the people, everybody. And if you're not fully aligned with that, well, you're just a person. You have no value. We just get rid of you. And we disappear
You're
you.
against the revolution. You're against the utopia we're trying to build. You are a big problem. If it wasn't for you, we'd get there faster.
100%. And then the question becomes, well, who decides what the people want? And that's like, well, the leaders do. And so once again, the leaders are the guys who end up like, you look at Kim in North Korea. You look at how a lot of dictatorial leaders live. You looked at how, Khrushchev and Brezhnev and Stalin and all those guys lived. You look at how Hitler lived while he was alive. You look at Mussolini, how he lived. You look at all those. You also look at like strong right-wing guys like, what's his name in Spain? My name just went blank. The name just went blank. No. This is back before the Spanish Revolution in the 70s. You look at Marcos in the Philippines. So you get right and strongmen on the right and the left. Whenever they get big power, suddenly they're living in the huge palaces, and they're adding more palaces, and they're traveling where they want. They have great mountain view tops, and everything's taken care of them wherever they want. And they're, all the traffic is stopped when they go through. And it's not because of security issues. It's because I just want to go get a burger. Everything's going to shut down. I'm going to go do it. So they start living in their own little world and become their own gods. And that's true on both sides. But it's much easier to do that when you have a large government and a government worldview that says the government is the most important thing instead of the individual. When you come to countries that are very individualistic, you tend not to have much socialism. You tend to have very little communism. And, one of the things I point to is like, well, look at Switzerland. It's in the heart of Europe, tiny little nation. It's very, very capitalistic, and the individual holds a massive amount of power over the government, to the point where government barely functions without the people agreeing to it. They don't have drivers paid for their prime minister and their leaders of government. They don't give them huge salaries. So a lot of times those guys end up taking public transport between, buildings a couple miles apart from each other, because they have no other way to get around. That's not socialist at all. Now, they spend a lot of their money on a social safety net. But that's not socialism. Socialism is the people and the industries and the economy are more important than individuals, so we have to worry about that as a whole, and you don't matter.